Good morning, everyone. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Whether you're a student, a business leader, a creative artist, or just someone trying to make the most of life, that truth doesn't change. But what does change is how we choose to use those 24 hours, and that choice, how we spend our time, often determines how successful we become. Success means different things to different people. For some, it's achieving academic excellence. For others, it's building a thriving business, nurturing a family, becoming a leader in their field, or even finding peace and purpose in everyday life. But no matter what your personal definition is, one thing is always true. You cannot achieve meaningful success without learning how to manage your time wisely. We live in a world that's constantly moving, filled with distractions, endless notifications, fast content, and an overwhelming number of choices. But time is not infinite. Once a moment passes, you can't get it back. It doesn't stop, it doesn't rewind, and it doesn't wait. That's why understanding the value of time is the first step to using it wisely. Most people realize the value of time too late after they've missed an opportunity, after they've wasted years doing something they didn't truly care about, or after they've seen someone else achieve what they only dreamed of, simply because that person acted with purpose. So, the earlier you understand this truth, the sooner you can begin living a life that's not just busy but meaningful and successful. Think about this. If you had a bank account that gave you $86,400 every single day, but you couldn't save it, you'd probably try to spend it wisely, right? You'd make sure every dollar counted. Well, every day gives you 86,400 seconds. It's up to you whether you spend those seconds mindlessly or invest them into something that brings you closer to your goals. Now that we understand time's value, the next step is clarity, getting clear about what you actually want in life, because it's impossible to spend your time wisely if you don't know what you're aiming for. Imagine trying to shoot an arrow without a target. That's what it feels like when you go through each day without clear goals. Success doesn't just happen by chance. It happens when intention meets action. And that intention comes from knowing what matters to you. Not what matters to everyone else, but what matters to you. It could be graduating with honors, starting a business, learning a new language, becoming a better friend, or just becoming the best version of yourself. But you must define it, because vague goals lead to vague results. Once you have a vision for your life, the key is to break that vision down into specific, realistic, and time-bound goals. If your dream is to write a book, don't just write a book on your to-do list. Break it down, write 500 words a day, finish chapter 1 in 2 weeks, set a deadline for the first draft, and the same principle applies to any goal, whether it's fitness, education, career, or personal development. When you get clear on your priorities, you also begin to realize what you need to say no to. Because for every yes you give to something, you're saying no to something else. You can't do everything, and you shouldn't try to. Not all tasks are equal. Some things seem urgent, but aren't actually important, like checking your phone every 5 minutes, or jumping from one small task to another just to feel productive. Real progress happens when you focus on what truly matters. That's why one of the best ways to manage your time is to filter your tasks through this question: will this help me move closer to my goal? If the answer is no, or even a weak maybe, then it might not be worth your time. And don't forget, goals aren't just about achieving big things. They're also about creating direction. Having goals helps you avoid drifting through your day, your week, or your life. When you know what you're working toward, you naturally make better decisions about how to spend your energy and your time. So to truly succeed, you need 2 things: respect for your time and clarity about your purpose. When you put those together, your time becomes powerful, not just something that passes, but something that builds your future, builds your success. Use your time well, because your success depends on it. Once your goals are clear and your priorities are set, the next challenge is to organize your time around them in a way that's realistic and sustainable. Because knowing what matters is one thing, but actually making time for it every day, consistently, is where real change happens. This is why planning your time intentionally isn't just helpful, it's essential. Think of your day like a budget. If you don't plan where your time is going to go, it'll be spent randomly and often wasted. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or motivation. They struggle because they haven't structured their time in a way that supports their goals. That's where simple tools like calendars, daily planners, or digital time blocking can make all the difference. Time blocking, for example, is a method where you break your day into chunks and assign specific tasks or types of work to each one. It's like creating appointments with yourself for focus, for rest, for creativity, and even for learning. When you block out time intentionally, you begin to protect your most valuable resource from distractions and interruptions. Another smart approach is batching similar tasks together. Instead of checking emails 10 times a day, maybe you check them twice, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Instead of writing one paragraph here and another there, schedule a solid 90-minute writing session and let your focus deepen. Every time you switch tasks, your brain has to reset, and that costs time and energy. Grouping similar tasks helps you stay in flow, and flow is where real progress lives. But even the best plan can be thrown off by the constant distractions around us. That's why it's just as important to know what to avoid as it is to know what to focus on. Time wasters come in many forms: social media, random scrolling, unnecessary meetings, or even saying yes to things that don't align with your goals. The problem is, most of these distractions don't feel like time wasters in the moment. They feel like a short break, a small reply, a quick check, but they add up. It's said that the average person spends over 2 hours a day on their phone doing things that aren't urgent or necessary. Multiply that by a week, that's 14 hours. That's almost an entire waking day. Over a month, that's 60 hours. Imagine what you could do with 60 extra hours: learn a skill, build a project, improve your health, or even just get better sleep. And the truth is, it's not about avoiding fun or being rigid. It's about being intentional. It's okay to watch a show or scroll through social media, but do it on purpose, not as a reflex. Make it part of your day instead of something that sneaks in and steals your attention when you're trying to focus. Put boundaries around your distractions so they don't control your time. A helpful practice is to track your time for a few days. Just write down how you're spending your hours honestly. Most people are surprised by how much time they lose to things that don't actually matter to them. Awareness is powerful. Once you know where your time is going, you can start to redirect it. Now, if planning helps you structure your time and eliminating time wasters helps you protect it, the next step is about strengthening your habits, because habits are the invisible architecture of your life. What you do repeatedly shapes who you become, and if you want to spend your time wisely, then you need habits that make wise use of it automatic. The good news is you don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Small habits done consistently can lead to massive results over time. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier, reading 10 pages of a book each night, planning your day every morning, or reflecting every evening. These actions may seem small, but their impact compounds. One powerful habit is setting a morning routine. Mornings set the tone for the day. If you begin your day with focus and intention, you're more likely to carry that mindset into everything else you do. Your morning doesn't need to be complicated. Even 20 minutes of quiet time, planning, or movement can make a huge difference. Evening routines matter too. They help you wind down, reflect on what went well, and prepare for the next day. A simple habit of writing down 3 priorities for tomorrow before you sleep can give your next day direction before it even starts. And here's the key: don't rely on motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Habits, on the other hand, keep working even when you don't feel inspired. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when it's not easy. And with time, discipline turns into routine, and routine turns into momentum. There's a principle called the 80/20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, which says that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. When you build habits around the highest value actions in your life, you start to see real progress. Not because you're working harder, but because you're working smarter. And while you're building new habits, be kind to yourself. Change doesn't happen all at once. What matters is consistency, showing up daily, even in small ways, for the life you want to build. So remember, plan your time like it's gold, because it is. Protect it from the things that steal it quietly, and shape your days with habits that support your goals. That's how you stop simply spending time and start investing it in your success. Success follows the people who know where they're going, plan how to get there, and walk the path one step and one day at a time. As we talk about spending time wisely, there's something important we often overlook: rest. In a world that celebrates hustle and staying busy, rest can sometimes feel like laziness. But that mindset is not only unhealthy, it's unproductive. Because the truth is, rest isn't a break from success. It's a necessary part of it. No matter how ambitious or focused you are, you're not a machine. Your brain, your body, your energy, all of it needs time to recover. And if you don't make space for rest, your performance suffers. You start burning out, making poor decisions, losing motivation, and missing opportunities because you're simply too tired to see them clearly. So part of using your time wisely means making rest a priority, not an afterthought. That includes getting quality sleep, taking regular breaks during the day, and even giving yourself permission to do nothing sometimes. Those quiet moments are when your mind processes ideas, recharges, and reconnects with what truly matters. But rest isn't just about sleep, it's also about reflection. At the end of the week, or even just the end of the day, ask yourself a simple question: how did I spend my time? Did it bring me closer to my goals? Did it align with my values? What worked well, and what could I do better? Reflection helps you adjust your course before you drift too far. It's like checking your compass on a long journey. Without it, you might be working hard but going in the wrong direction. When you take a few moments to pause and reflect, you make sure your effort is actually creating progress, not just motion. Now, while you're working on yourself and improving your habits, there's something else that has a huge impact on how you spend your time, and that's the people around you. Whether we realize it or not, we are constantly influenced by the energy, attitudes, and behaviors of those closest to us. If you spend time with people who are constantly distracted, negative, or unmotivated, it's easy to fall into those same patterns. But when you surround yourself with people who value their time, who strive to grow, who challenge themselves and stay focused, that energy is contagious. They raise your standards, they remind you of what's possible, and they often hold you accountable, not with pressure, but with presence. This doesn't mean you need to cut people out of your life, but it does mean you should be intentional about who you spend the most time with. Seek out mentors, peers, and friends who are also pursuing success in whatever form that means to them. Learn from them, support each other, celebrate each other's wins, and share lessons from the losses. If you don't have people like that around you yet, you can find them. Look in communities, online or local, where people are building, learning, and growing. Join workshops, attend events, ask questions, offer help. Time spent with the right people can be one of the best investments you'll ever make. And finally, if you want to use your time wisely for long-term success, you need to make learning a lifelong habit. Because the world is constantly changing, and the people who keep learning are the ones who keep growing, they adapt, improve, and stay relevant. They find new ways to solve old problems. They gain new tools to build better futures. Learning doesn't stop when school ends. It's something you choose to continue through books, courses, podcasts, conversations, observations, and most of all, through experience. Every challenge you face holds a lesson. Every failure has something to teach you if you're willing to learn from it rather than avoid it. When you commit to learning, you begin to use your time in a way that compounds over the years. The skills you build now become the foundation for future opportunities. The knowledge you gain today can unlock doors 5 years from now, and the wisdom you collect from both success and failure becomes the guide for every decision you'll make going forward. So don't wait for learning to happen by accident. Make it part of your routine, read a few pages a day, ask questions, try new things, reflect on your experiences, and most importantly, stay curious because curiosity keeps you moving forward. Spending your time wisely isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional, resting when you need to, reflecting so you grow, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, and committing to learning. These are not just good habits, they are foundations for a successful life. Time is your most valuable resource. Spend it on what matters. Thank you.